Hello and welcome back to Anywhere But Here, episode 322. My name is Tom.
And my name's Ant.
And you can find us at abhpod.com, where if you scroll down a little way, you can find an Amazon banner. If you click through that Amazon banner, go to amazon.co.uk. You can do your spending there to your heart's content. And we get 5% of your total basket spend at the end. It doesn't cost you any more. We just take a little bit of Amazon's profits and use them to keep our hosting online for the rest of the year.
And if you don't have any shopping to do on Amazon, but you still want to support us, or you just want to support us in a more regular way, you can use the Patreon banner, which you can find on our website as well. And that allows you for a single $1 a month, a single £1 a month, or whatever your currency might be, one of those. It allows you to support us, like I say, on a more regular basis, so we know how much money we've got coming in. But it also gives you extra content, so you'll get the main episode without the intros. You'll get Spoilercasts the week that we actually record them, rather than waiting a few weeks or months down the line. You'll get exclusive podcasts. They're after the podcast. They only go out to our patrons, and you'll get video content. So you'll get the main episode and the after the podcasts as video episodes as well. And if we do any sort of like gaming content or any other YouTube stuff, you'll get that a little bit earlier than it goes up for the public.
Indeed. You can get in touch with us on social media, on Twitter at ABH Pod, on Facebook ABH Pod, and you can comment on our videos on youtube.com/ABH Podcast.
Yeah, you can comment on our Patreon posts as well if you're one of our Patreon supporters. I suppose if you're not one of our Patreon supporters, you could probably comment as well. But you can also email us abhpod@gmail.com.
Indeed. Now, this episode is a spoiler cast, and there's a reason that we're going to do this spoiler cast this time around. And I suppose we'll do a tiny mini episode now. Is that Ant and I both forgot that it was this week that we were recording until about 9:30 last night. I've been far too busy to keep contact with anything in the real world. I don't know how you're doing, Anne.
Yeah, I don't know if it's so much busy, but I've just sort of been enjoying life rather than sort of watching the news, if you get what I mean. Yeah. I mean, most of my content comes from TikTok, and it's all been Amber Heard and Johnny Depp trial, which, you know, we've already done. So, yeah, I think that's the thing. Like, contrary to what most of our episodes sound like, we do actually look stuff up before the episode to make sure we've got something to speak about. So, you know, so like last night we were both like, oh, yeah, okay, yeah, we haven't got anything.
Yeah. But we realised that we had a spoiler cast that was sitting around for ages and ages because we kind of forgot that this movie was released on physical, you know, Blu-ray, DVD, streaming, whatever you want. There might be a reason for that.
Yeah. It's a weird one. Yeah, it's definitely a weird one. So yeah, this is I went to see the Matrix Resurrections.
Sure.
That film. You still haven't seen it, have you?
No, I saw it about
you did?
week. I saw it about a
Yes,
week
you did.
after the episode was aired, but for some reason I sat in on this conversation with you and Loz, our friend, who's been on before, and got very, very confused listening to what you guys are explaining about.
And then you went and saw the film and went, oh.
Yeah.
That's why I was confused.
I kind of understand why none of it made any sense.
Yeah, so what I will say to you guys is listen to the spoiler cast. If you've seen the film, especially if you've seen the film.
Yeah.
Listen to the spoiler cast. Tell us if it's accurate. I guess.
If you haven't seen the film and you're listening to this, I'm not sure there's much point.
To be fair, I think, like, for a bit of an analogy, I think this spoiler cast is probably like the Wish product description for the film.
That's a pretty good way of summing it up. I mean, it's that, or it's a film about the Matrix.
Enjoy.
So yeah, the reason that I've not seen this film is that the other day I was around at my folks' house, and my stepsister came in, and her kids and I got up to move across the room to greet them. And as I did, my stepdad stepped backwards into my oncoming foot. So his foot went this way, mine went that way. And somehow, some way, I got really hurt. I injured myself quite badly.
Oh, no.
Hold on. Like, I didn't want to make a big deal of it because, you know, I didn't want to, you know, be accused of making a scene. But it hurt. It hurt a lot.
What color is it now?
I'm just gonna send. Send.
So was it a case? He
message
step
to
on
you.
your toe? Was it?
No.
You
We
kicked his
clashed.
foot?
Yeah.
So we
clashed.
or you essentially almost broke your toe on another man's foot.
Yeah. He was wearing slippers, mind you, but still, slippers are not. Loz, I've just sent you a picture of it on WhatsApp.
Getting a bit motion sickness.
And yeah.
Sorry, I don't know how to turn this off.
But so I put some ice on it. And then later that night, I took the picture that I've just sent you guys, and it's.
I'll just go and quickly get my phone if that's all right.
Yeah. No.
How's your camera going to deal with that?
Yeah, it's going to turn all the way around. But
he also had a child to get rid of.
Yeah, it turns out that I wasn't being over dramatic.
Yeah. No, that's awful. I was wondering how your camera was going to deal with you walking out of frame like that, walking behind it.
Sorry.
Oh, it was interesting. Yeah.
Oh God.
Yeah, it came up like purple and black.
Ouch.
And I basically haven't been able to walk for a couple of days afterwards, and putting on shoes is a no.
Yeah, so
man, it looks like one of those ones you see in a Netflix documentary of a body they found like 2 weeks later down the creek.
Yeah.
I'm surprised there's not a little luggage label tied to your little toe.
That's all the weight retention as well. It makes me look bloated because I've had so much food and drink over Christmas that even my foot looks like it's been decomposing somewhere.
Yeah, so
goodness me. Yeah, I bet that crumbled you, didn't it?
Yeah, so this whole setup for like doing this spoiler cast with Loz, like it was a whole story, wasn't it? Like, so Tom messaged to say about you joining us. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. I might not have seen it though, so go ahead and do it without me. And so I was like, no, we're not going to do that. We should put it off and wait until we can all talk about it and we've all seen it, because you know you're the fans, so you should go and see it. And yesterday he messaged me, he was like, I've not seen it. I made up because the thing is I hadn't seen it, but I was like saying to Liz, like, okay, can we go and see it before Sunday because we need to do a spoiler cast for it and blah. And she was like, yeah. So we went out and did it yesterday. And just afterwards, I got a message from Tom. I haven't seen it. So
nice.
it was quite funny. It was quite a funny moment, but you know, valid reasons. I'm not going to call them excuses. It's a reason.
Seems awful though. Like, you can't. Well, you don't want to be one of them people that just go to the cinema in your shorts and a sliders, do you? Like, or your flip-flops. Like,
I don't own them because I fucking hate feet anyway. Yeah. So like the idea of like my hideously deformed toes being out in the open, let alone being purple and swollen.
Was that not traumatic for you?
Yeah, no, really. Like it took a lot to even take the picture in the first place, but you know I have to have proof, otherwise you know.
Yeah, it looks awful, man.
The thing is, I really want to see the film, despite the fact that I hold virtually no expectation for it.
One thing I will say, so if we kind of kick it off, because I don't want to spoil it for you if you're going to see it, but at the same time you're like, I don't care, kind of. But at the same time, without spoiling my view of the film, I had seen a couple of reviews of it and a couple of people had commented, and I saw someone refer to it as the metrics. You know, so my expectations were lowered when I went to see it, which I think helped, if I'm honest.
Right.
If I'm honest, I think it helped. If I went in with the high expectations I had, I don't think I would have enjoyed it as much as I did.
Oh, okay.
Because the expectations were lowered, I think I enjoyed it more than I would have done.
I get that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which is, yeah. It's one of those, it's one of those weird things. Like, I love that universe anyway, so I'm going to like it, whatever happens.
Yeah.
But, yeah, I mean, I don't know. How did you feel about it?
So, I'm not like the biggest fan of, well, okay, so like obviously Spider-Man came out the week before.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm not the biggest Marvel fan, but I did go opening night because I hate spoilers.
Yeah.
And so I know about this. I know Tom's in the room, but yeah, like,
sorry.
I genuinely hate spoilers. So I went opening night for Spider-Man because I didn't want anything spoiled. I wanted to see it. And funnily enough, I don't actually think I've seen any spoilers from it at all anyway, since it came out. But then, like I say, I'm not, and the same with The Matrix. I didn't want to see any spoilers. So I went opening night. I did actually go to the BFI IMAX 2 weeks before to see The Matrix on their screen. It was the first showing. So I was a little bit hyped up, like, oh yeah, maybe this one. Well, yeah, so I do like number one. I don't particularly like number two.
No.
Number three, I have no idea what happened in that. I haven't, no memory of that. And then number four, sort of, I was like, well, it looks pretty. I'll go and see it. Like maybe there's some sort of redeeming thing after number three. That was sort of me going into it. But yeah, I must say it was one of, not because of the film, but I had a very bad cinema experience watching The Matrix. Resurrection. Yeah. Due to the other patrons in the cinema.
Right.
We
had
that as well. There was
that can be a major issue.
In front of us just constantly using their phones throughout the film.
So I had very overweight people in the cinema who smelt very bad. And started snoring. Very loudly, like sleep apnea snoring.
Yeah.
And then there was some crazy lady in there who was. So it was a bizarre setup. It was like the first 5 rows at the back were regular cinema seats with an aisle, and then at the front it was like 3 rows of tables, all in like a long line, as if you're in like a meeting. And like this woman was literally like hurdling them to get out, and she did it maybe 3 or 4 times in the film. It was like, I don't know what was wrong with her, but yeah, it was crazy. It was very distracting. Like people walked out. And I don't think anyone was particularly taking the film that seriously, but it definitely marred my opinion of this film. Because it was such a bad cinema experience.
Yeah, I think that's what we had, because these people kept using their phones. Have you been to the Odeon in Maidstone recently? Since it's been
not for a long time, no.
Have you ever been to an Odeon Lux?
I've been to Leicester Square, and I've been to the one at near Canary Wharf. What's that?
Okay.
Greenwich? Yeah.
I don't know if all Odeon Lux cinemas are the same, but yeah, Maidstone Odeon now is one of those ones. It's just like reclining armchairs with the swivel table. It's incredible. I absolutely love it. I don't think I ever want to go to another cinema again because of that. But yeah, so you've got people kind of relaxed, and I think that probably does change people's how they behave in a cinema, doesn't it? Because they feel relaxed, like they're at home. So these people are using their phones. So Liz went to the toilet and just happened to mention it to one of the ushers outside, because you don't get them sitting in the cinema anymore, do you, to keep an eye on things?
No.
Because that costs money to have that many staff. So she went and told, so the woman came in, went down, warned them, said, can you not use your phone, blah, blah, blah. So she didn't, and then the woman disappeared. About 10 minutes later, the woman came back in just to check, kept watching, saw this person on their phone again, went down and spoke to, and then they started sort of like escalating their like voices and talking really loudly, and like the woman's like, so are you telling me I can't use my phone in the cinema? And the woman's like, no, you can't.
But equally,
like, it literally says at the start, finishing conversations, turn off your phones. The film is about to start. Like, And like, so they're screaming, shouting. So this woman got kicked out, and then her
Oh
friend
wow.
was still there. Yeah, but then her friend was still there. And about 5 minutes later, he got out his phone and started playing on it again. Like, what are you doing?
God.
But then he left. So she'd obviously messaged him to say. So as the door opened to the foyer, we heard her screaming and shouting still in the foyer. And that really takes you out of it. It does affect your opinion. And let's be honest, we all sort of knew this wasn't going to be an epic, great experience like film. So you sort of, and then you have that as well, and it does mar it. Like it really does detract from.
But especially if you look forward to watching a film as well, you're in the zone, and it's a thing that you're into, and just because other people in the cinema don't have that same respect for it, it does ruin your experience. Sounds like people who want to go and see The Matrix are badly behaved.
Yeah.
But you get this with certain genres as well, don't you? Because like horror is one of those things where people kind of interact and stuff. And that's why I don't know, I've been to other what was it? Like just this is why I don't go to really kind of popular films unless I get to go during the week in the daytime. Like Spider-Man, for example. I mean, I went in there and it was like maybe 50% full. Yeah. But it's full of people who were there on like a Tuesday morning. Yeah. So during a work week, so you know that they're not going to ruin it for you.
Well, I mean, we went. It was 1:45 yesterday, and I mean, I suppose there was only like 15 people there. It just happened to be there was like 2 or 3 people there that were going to ruin it for everyone. But so like 1:45 on a Friday, but I suppose Saturday. What was yesterday? Saturday. It's the between Christmas and New Year. Like I've lost all track of time. So we went yesterday. So Saturday midday. Yeah, I suppose you are going to get those people, aren't you? I thought it was a Friday, but then I was going to use the excuse it's between Christmas and New Year.
Exactly, it's still the holiday.
Yeah, I mean,
it's a weird time.
On the whole, if we go to the film itself, I would say clearly not the best film, but definitely not the worst.
No.
I would potentially put it as the second best. Like it, but it's possibly the nostalgia. There was a lot of fan service in this film, a huge amount of fan service in this film, which I think
I'm not sure if it did it as much benefit as the fan service in Spider-Man though. Like the fan service in Spider-Man was insane, and like the cinema was buzzing. Like I don't know, like maybe 6-7 times people were clapping in the film, and I've never been in a cinema where that happens. You know, like I have, but not for a long time. You know, I think it was a rerun of The Predator, or when I go up to Prince Charles. You know, people will clap because they're there to watch all 3 Lord of the Rings in one go, you know, like. But this for a new film coming out, I've never had that before.
No, Spider-Man was definitely very different. I didn't have that as much as you guys because obviously I think I went a couple of days later, so I didn't go over. But I still, there was a lot of like there was some whooping and cheering like with the first portal opening, or the but other than that, not a lot. But this. There were a couple of moments in this when I was just like, wicked. It's kind of like, cool.
Totally.
Like, I mean, back in spoiler territory for Matrix now. Like the first scene is almost cut and paste the first scene of the first Matrix.
Yeah.
With like Trinity in the room. It's a trade. It's really cool. Like they're doing it, and you're like, this is really cool. But not knowing what angle they were taking it, whether it was going to be like, because I think it's in the third one, they explain like the Matrix, it gets just deconstructed and rebuilt.
That's right.
So is it just the fact that it's been rebuilt, so the same stuff's going to happen? But it's not. It's different. It's a training pro. No, not a training.
Was there a point where in your head you were like, is this just going to be the first film again?
For a second.
Because I got to the point where I was like, is this Have they just reshot it shot for shot?
Because that first scene, it's not just like a 30-second sort of scene where you're like, oh, this is the same as first. No, it's like a full 3 minutes.
Same dialogue.
Same dialogue.
Like,
same
wow,
shots,
really?
shots.
Yeah.
Okay, interesting.
Different actors.
Different actors.
So it
and
was
then
really weird. Like, I didn't know where it was kind of cool. I was like, cool, they're recreating it. This is really like, that's what I mean with fan service. But then after about 45 seconds to a minute, you're kind of, wait, what are they doing? What's going on?
Yeah, in my head, it was just like running through a list of what could be going on. Are they repeating it? Are they like, is this going to like evolve into something different? And then obviously it does.
What was the payoff? What's the point in that then? Because it seemed, did Lana Wachowski just go, copy and paste that opening bit because I can't think of a way to open the film? Or
I think because of how Ant was saying that the Matrix is something that keeps getting rebuilt and things like that. Maybe the same events do occur continually in that. It wasn't actual Carrie-Anne Moss as Trinity though, was it?
No. So that's
in that scene.
So if you want to go a bit further in, it kind of explain what it is. So there's a character in it that I want to keep calling Bunny, but her name's Bugs. Every time I hear Bugs, my mind goes Bunny, so I'm convinced her name is Bunny. But she is in there looking for something, I believe. And it turns out, so they had this conversation and they're saying that it's a modal, which I was like, what the fuck is a modal? Yeah. And then it's explained later that it's like a simulation program that somebody has written for some reason. It's never fully explained. But then the agents come along, and then you have two agents get out of the car, and then you have the third agent who gets out is the guy who's playing Morpheus, who I knew it was the guy who's playing. When he got out of the car, I was like, isn't he supposed to be Morpheus? But he's not. He's an agent, and they actually refer to him as Smith as well. So It turns out in this version of The Matrix, Thomas Anderson, Keanu Reeves' character, is a game designer, and he designed a trilogy of games called The Matrix.
Oh.
Where the events from each film happened in those games.
Yeah. So
I'm gonna be honest, the first sort of half hour, 45 minutes of this film, I was like, I don't know if I like this. Yeah. I don't really know if I like the way they're taking this at all.
So is this like a thing to trick you into thinking that the first three films were actually these computer games, but maybe this is just a simulation that's been put around?
Oh, so that's the idea on Thomas Anderson, that he didn't, because he can still remember bits, and obviously because he's written these computer games that have turned into these three computer games. So he's written them, and he thinks that they're like from his mind, and then it gradually becomes like, oh no, this isn't from my mind, this is from like, if you've seen the trailer, he says, I've had dreams that I didn't think were dreams, so that's sort of you're pretty much right there.
It's a case of it's a way that I can't remember what the guy's name is. I can't even remember the actor now.
Which one? His boss,
his therapist, his handler.
Oh, Neil Patrick Harris.
Neil Patrick Harris, but I can't remember what his title is in the game. Is he an assessor?
In the game?
No, in the film, isn't he called an assessor or something? Like you had the architect.
Analyst.
The analyst, that's it. So he's the analyst, and it turns out, I mean, we're going to jump around because you can't, with Matrix films, you can't go linearly. It doesn't make sense. you kind of have to, when you're explaining it to someone who hasn't seen it, you have to sort of go, right, Neil Patrick Harris. Well, no.
But the whole point of that first scene was to get Morpheus out, wasn't it?
Yeah, let's go back to
that. So like Bugs ends up chasing this Trinity character, and then she realizes it's a trap because there's so many Smiths there, and then they turn on her, and then she grabs Morpheus.
So she's hiding behind the counter in the key shop, isn't she? And so they're on top of the building, aren't they? And then she jumps down. That's that quite cool scene, which it was like, oh, this might be quite good. And she like crushes the building with her weight, and then do you see that in the trailer, Tom? Yeah.
I don't know whether you see the building get crushed, but I know that you see people in the trailer. I seem to remember lots of people jumping off buildings. There were like 4 or 5.
Yeah. And
That's a
then
bit later,
there's like
really.
a load of sort of not bullet time, like jumping over cars and whatnot in slow motion.
Yeah.
And then she goes into the key building behind the counter. And then what happens then?
Is it like, I don't know, you see like a light, like a door opens up, but it's like in the floor,
That's it.
isn't it? And then the Morpheus / Smith character grabs her through,
pulls her
door,
through, yeah.
He pulls
so
her
it's like
through.
This program is having a problem, but he's not a program because he's actually a free character
Right.
in the world of Zion.
So
is that
he's a program that Thomas Anderson has written that is an amalgamation of Smith and Morpheus. So because this is a simulation that is right, how bugs got into the simulation, I don't know. I don't think that's ever explained at all.
Right, okay.
Is it? Like, because
No.
this is a program that Thomas Anderson wrote to run a simulation.
And is that where
he created the Morpheus Smith character?
Yeah.
So this is a program
then
he wrote. So I don't know how bugs got into this program at all.
But isn't that how they free the Morpheus guy?
Yeah, that's how they get him out.
Right, okay.
By going into that program. So she gives him a blue pill.
Right, yeah.
To really, because he knows there's something not quite right about him. He knows he's an agent, but there's also a part of him that feels that there's something else going on. Because they end up in Neo's apartment from the first Matrix, don't they?
That's it, yeah.
She's like, I recognize this apartment, and they look around and it's like Neo's apartment from the first film, but in daylight, not really dark and dingy. So it's really weird. So she gives him a blue pill and eventually pull him out into the real world, but he's still a computer program. But he's not. But
that's another thing though. He like turns into balls in the real world, doesn't he?
Yeah, so because he's a real person, so they have these like projection systems that use like little metallic balls that sort of create that, mate. Tom will be watching the film and will go, "Oh, that's what you meant."
Yeah, this sounds very confusing.
It's the Matrix, mate. It's the Matrix. So they're able to get a representation of digital programs in the real world. Yeah. And they have their own minds, and they're because they're AI.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then I think it kind of looks like those pin things that you put your face in.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of look like that.
Yeah. And then I think it cuts to Thomas Anderson working in his office, and then he sees like a bit of code that changes, and he's like, "Oh, this is a bit weird." So I presume that's what
that's Morpheus
program was. Yeah.
That's Morpheus being pulled out of that simulation, out of the whatever they called it.
Yeah, and then then he meets Trinity in a coffee shop with her family.
Tiffany,
I think.
Tiffany.
And then they go back to his office on his own, and then the Smiths turn up, and his boss turns into Agent Smith.
Yeah, his boss played by Jonathan Groff. Who's like a musical theatre actor. Yeah,
I'm not sure if Tom's frozen or just a complete shock.
Trying to process it. So
he used a name that like he's like, oh, this guy, everyone knows who this guy is, and I'm like,
Jonathan Groff. I would say he was in Glee, he was in Hamilton. It's not going to help you.
I'll tell you something though. This is completely off topic. The other day we were watching Sky Arts and War of the Worlds was on.
Yeah.
And I think that woman who is in Wicked was on there. And I said, I'm pretty sure that's the one. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, she plays
it was.
Beth.
And I said to Sam, like, that's the one that Ant and Liz have met, I think. But it was quite a good one.
Yeah.
It was because we looked at going, but it's got a guy from Blue and someone from Steps on at the moment. So it was like, probably not.
I'm going.
Oh yeah,
me and my dad are going. Yeah. The Kerry Ellis performance, the one with Kerry Ellis, Liam Neeson, Jason Donovan, was it?
Yeah, and the guy from
Ricky Wilson from Kaiser.
That's
Chiefs.
it.
Yeah. So me and Liz saw that cinema that particular show.
Nice
Anyway,
one.
yeah. So
Sorry, completely off topic.
So what kind of happens is so Thomas Anderson has a meeting with his boss before this, doesn't he? And his boss is like, oh, they want to make a Matrix 4. Like,
yeah,
that's when my mind went, oh, this is the Metatrix. Like, it's really weird and meta. The whole first 45 minutes, I'm like, what is this? Because it's like really self-referential. And yeah, so his boss says we want to make the Matrix 4. Basically, Warner Brothers have said we're going to make it with or without you. And I'm just like, what? You can't pull Warner Brothers into this whole thing.
See,
like,
I'd heard that
really
Warner
weird.
Brothers were mentioned in it, and I was like, right, so it's going to be something to do with. I wasn't quite sure, but all the things that you're saying are like, oh, of course.
Part
right,
of
so
me
that's how they managed to do it.
that Warner Brothers were going to make a Matrix 4 with or without one or both of the Wachowskis. And I imagine that's what this film is about. It's like, fuck it, we're going to make a dig at you and do it anyway. So then there's this whole thing where he has a bit of a breakdown. So he goes to see his therapist, Neil Patrick Harris character, doesn't he?
Oh yeah, but
sort of
his boss turns into Smith and shoots him, doesn't he? And then he goes to see the therapist.
No, because there's this whole thing about them making. There's this whole thing about them making it, and he doesn't want to, so he goes to his therapist the first time, and then he's like, "Oh yeah, fair enough." And then he goes back to it, and then you have that scene where it sort of loops them saying the same things over and over again. I don't know if you remember that.
Oh, what
where is the Matrix? What does it mean?
Right, yeah.
This is when he goes to his team. Like, what does the Matrix?
Oh, yeah, they're doing
like the same line being said over and over again by all of his colleagues, and you're like, "What's going?" It's like a loop, stuck in a loop sort of thing. So then, because of this, he sort of has a bit of a breakdown, doesn't he? And then Morpheus texts him.
Oh,
he
yeah,
gets a
goes to
text
the
on
toilet,
his phone, doesn't he? So then he goes to the toilet to see Morpheus, and Morpheus offers him the pills, and he's like, "No, I don't want to do this." And then I think that's when the agents turn up, isn't it?
Yeah.
Something so weird. Yeah, then the agents turn up, and there's this whole fight. And yeah, like you said, then his boss kind of does a Thomas Anderson bit and just sort of starts shooting. Yeah,
but it cuts to Hugo Weaving, doesn't it? Saying the same words.
There's a lot of the original trilogy cut into this.
Oh, right, because they've not got Hugo Weaving back, have they? Because he was in none of the trailers, so they're just using stock footage of him from the original.
There's a lot of
they use stock footage of Hugo and Lawrence Fishburne.
Okay,
there's lots of clips from the old film cut into it, but they're not from the film; they're from the game.
Yes,
they're memories that Anderson is having of the game. So yeah, I think the whole premise, the whole thing, he is being controlled by the analyst, basically. And all these memories that he's got are like psychotic episodes and delusions he's having. Because he was so invested in this game, I think, he now can't distinguish the game from reality. So he has these feelings and these thoughts and thinks it might be real. And he's basically being led to believe that he is unstable, mentally unstable, and he's having delusions. And his medication just happens to be, is it a pot of blue pills or a pot of red? No, it's blue pills. The blue pill keeps you where you are. The red pills free you. So yeah, he basically keeps taking these blue pills, which is controlling him and just suppressing his free mind, essentially. That's kind of the premise of what's happening to Neo. Is he's being controlled by the analyst. It's to keep him locked away and secure so the Matrix can carry on and do what it needs to do. And then you have this thing, don't you, that any time he becomes free, like when he tries to walk off of buildings and things like that, tries to fly, or when his boss shoots him, he sort of gets reset. Just before he dies, I think he gets reset.
This sounds like Free Guy.
Oh, yeah, because he committed suicide, didn't he? Like he walked stepped off the building, didn't he? Yeah.
Right.
But
and then
you find out later that he didn't actually fall, did he?
No. Because and then he has like another bit of a breakdown, right? And he starts drinking, and then he's like, "Oh, I just free my mind."
Yeah.
And that's when Bugs pulls him off the top of the building and into that room. And then they're showing it's like a theater, and they're showing clips from his game, right?
Yeah.
which is clips from The Matrix, the first film. And then Deja Vu occurs.
Deja Vu, who happens to be the analyst cat.
The cat.
The black cat is called Deja Vu.
Of course, right.
Why didn't you think of that,
black
Tom?
Cat from the original film. Yeah,
you might need something stronger in that glass, mate.
Yeah, maybe.
It's all over the place. It's like trying to explain the film is just
so this opening 45 minutes, right, where you're really confused and things are going on and you're like, I don't really understand what the fuck's going on. When does what happens to make you go, oh, I get what's happening now? Or does that moment never really occur?
I think it's sort of gradual, isn't it, across as the film goes on. But I think it is as I think once.
It's fairly easy to follow. I just don't think we're doing the best job of explaining it because it's probably been about a week and a half, and
but also it's a Matrix film as well. Right?
Well, I saw it yesterday, so that can't be my
excuse. Oh, okay, right.
It's not the first 45 minutes isn't really confusing what the fuck's going on. The first 45 minutes is kind of like, what direction are they taking with this? I'm not sure I like where they're going with this. Like, I don't like the fact that they use clips from the films to represent his game. I that just takes me out of it completely. If they never showed clips from the games as such, and they just talked about these Matrix, it's too self-referential for me. Like the fact that they call it the Matrix and they show clips from the films, like to say that it's a good game, and then the code for the game actually looks like Matrix code. Whereas like if you're going to try and make it like more realistic, you would use proper code. You wouldn't show it as Matrix code. That makes no sense to me. And the fact that he can look at it and see that it's the Matrix, like it's too on the nose for me.
Yeah.
Like when you think of the first film, like everything is completely out there and original and new, and everyone's like, this is amazing, this is incredible. Whereas this is just kind of like, oh, we're doing this now, we're going to do this now. Look, can you see us doing this over here? I don't like that. What I do like is the subtle in that world. You see that occasionally Bugs and even just calling Neo. I can't keep calling him Thomas Anderson, but you keep seeing Neo. You keep seeing like little. Like when they look through glass and you see little bits of Matrix code here and there. There was a scene with a puddle when they're running where you see the Matrix code just before a foot steps in it. Like that's really cool because it's quite subtle.
Like in the rain and stuff like that as well, is it on the window? Yeah.
Oh, cool.
Another
really
thing,
cool.
Tom. They've completely changed his image and he's like a 60-year-old balding man. Like it looks a bit like Bill Bailey.
Oh, no, is that the bit in the trailer where he looks into the mirror and sees that kind of
Yeah, that's his actual appearance. So
that's
no
how
one can
everyone
find
else
him.
sees him. He sees himself as Keanu Reeves.
Right.
Everyone else sees him as.
I mean, I see myself
John
as Keanu Reeves as well, but
everyone else sees him as either John Malkovich or Bill Bailey, don't they? Because when he's up on the building, jumping off the building, he's that bald guy, isn't he?
Yeah.
But in the current representation of himself, he's the graying Bill Bailey guy.
Right.
Yeah, it's weird.
But that's to stop people from being able to find him in the real world. But then he goes, oh, well, my name is Thomas Anderson and I work at a company that made The Matrix.
How's changing my image going to stop anyone finding me?
Never mind. we got you now.
But yeah, so that's the whole point, isn't it? So the reason Bugs ended up sort of freeing her mind is she was working as a window cleaner on an office block, wasn't she?
Yeah.
So she was in that
when
cradle.
He jumped off of the.
So when he jumped off the building,
off the top.
she looked up. She saw the old man, but a split second before he jumped, he changed into Keanu Reeves. She saw the real him. Okay, I mean that's what she said.
But like this window cleaner was working late because they're having an office party.
Yeah.
And someone was just cleaning a window. Because
it suits the narrative. Loz, come on.
Okay. Yep.
It sounds ridiculous. Like when you pick out little things like that, it's completely ridiculous. But
I mean, I'm definitely seeing this film now just to make any sense of this conversation.
But yeah,
I mean, we're 45 minutes in. I think it's like 2 hours and a bit. Isn't it? Like,
but this is what I said. Like, for you to sort of enjoy it, you kind of have to lower it. I mean, you had fairly low expectations anyway because you fully expected it to be complete shit. So
I didn't say complete shit.
Oh no, you just said shit. To be fair.
Yeah.
I saw a review
Oh, crap.
and it said, I won't say it's shit, but if you said it was shit, I wouldn't argue with you.
I'm of that mind, and that's exactly what I was like with the first Matrix. You know, when we spoke on the Stinking Paws about the Matrix, and Charlie was just kind of, no, this film's shit. I'm like, yeah, fair enough. Like, it's fine.
Yeah.
I love the first film. Like, I do. I've never made it, but I
really enjoyed the first.
I understand if people don't like
the first one.
Yeah, yeah. We
But
need to specify the first one. Yeah, they use very little footage from Reloaded and Revolutions.
Right.
In this
very
film.
little. Yeah.
But
that's the thing. There was such a bigger world, wasn't there? There was like Animatrix, there was the games, there was the comics. They're all linked in, and it was just like, wow, this is like a media overload, and no one's really followed that up. I mean, obviously, you can go with Spider-Man, I guess, with the like alternate universe, like where you've got where they go, oh, I thought Spider-Man would be black, like, and I was like, oh, maybe Miles Morales will turn up from from the game, or from
Into the
Spider-Verse,
yeah. Or Spider-Ham might turn up as well.
True that, yeah.
The noir character comes in. You just see Spider-Ham over in the back. Like, what is it? Peter Porker, wasn't he?
Yeah, that's right.
That was it, yeah.
Peter Porker.
So, it was such a big thing at the time. Like, I've probably still got the comics, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, the Animatrix I thought was incredible. That Enter the Matrix game was incredible as well. So like Loz says, like they could have pulled from so much more.
There you go. Bagged as well.
Yeah, like all of them.
I think I've got the one with the pods on the front. I don't think I've got the other one. Shit.
Yeah, it was volume 1 and volume 2. But yeah, like they all sort of advanced the stories, because I don't know if you looked into it much, but there was a lot of why has Morpheus been recast? And
I did
he
hear
died
that
in one of the games. Like
so I mean they do reference the fact that this is set 60 years after he was freed.
Yeah.
Oh right, okay.
So what we think is only like 20 years is that's actually 60 years. So like in Io, which is the new Zion, so they've moved the civilization to a place called Io. There is a Morpheus statue, like a monument to Morpheus. Jada Pinkett Smith is in it as like but she's been like aged, but with makeup.
Yeah.
It's not digital age, it's actually makeup. So, I mean, it looks shit, but it looks better than if it was digital. So, like, I mean, you look at her and you go, that's not a real old woman. And she's basically plays this, her character now is quite a harsh, sort of like takes no shit, but lets people get away with shit, like, which is a bit weird. She's like, no, we're going to have a court martial and shit, and we're going to do this. And then the guy's like, they're kind of going off when you've told them not to. What should we do? She's like, I'll let them do it. It's kind of like, okay, what was the point in that? That was a bit weird.
Yeah, they locked Neo up, and then the random balls fall down, and Morpheus appears, and then the ship appears. So
okay.
Yeah, I don't know.
There's some machines that
sort of happen very quick. They've taken over some machines, yeah. Because when they released,
some of those machines became sentient and became good of their own.
Okay.
Didn't they? I think that's what it was. So, when Neo goes to basically at the end of the third one, he goes up and puts his hand and talks to the machines, and that's why all the squids go off and stuff. Some of them decided, actually, we're going to help the good guys.
Okay.
Oh, right.
That's what that was. Yeah, that's what that was. So some of them decided they're going to help.
Right.
And it's this whole thing. It's like these machines risk their lives to kind of free Neo to go up and get his body, because him and Trinity are kept away from everyone else in like a secret area.
Yeah, they've still got those farms, with the spirals and all the pods in it. But yeah, they're like together at the top on their own, and it's like the most highly guarded place.
Yeah,
right.
So these machines risk their lives to go and save him.
And they're trying to free Trinity as well.
But these machines are not allowed in anymore. They've lost their security clearance for that area.
Oh, yeah, because they're trying to free him because they're
It
the
sounds
only.
so shit when I explain it like that.
He's only the one with Trinity, basically. Like,
Okay.
Yeah.
So he needs Trinity there to be the one, right?
To reach his full power, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Separately, they're not too good, but together they can do anything.
Sure.
There's this whole thing as well, like it's there's this whole theme throughout about binary choices, like good or bad. Like, so the new game that Thomas Anderson is working on in the beginning is called Binary. So there's this whole theme throughout a binary, like yes and no, good, bad. The pills, obviously, binary, like the choice. So that's the whole thing, isn't it? It goes, if you take this pill, you'll forget everything and you'll go back. If you take this pill, you'll remember everything. And somebody goes, that's not much of a choice. And then somebody makes some comment about it. Well, it's not really binary, blah, blah, blah. The choice is actually an illusion. It's not really a choice sort of thing. There's this whole theme throughout.
Well, it's the Matrix. There's a lot of meta, weird kind of pseudo-scientific stuff, and there always has been.
Yeah, so it's a kind of I don't know if I've thought about it right, but the way I feel is it's like they the choice is an illusion. Like your destiny is already laid out in front of you. You don't really have a choice, and that's the whole thing with Neo offering him the pill, and he goes like, "But you've already made your choice. Like you already know what you've got to do." And it's echoed in this one. It's kind of like, well, you already know what pill you're going to take, so just take the pill. Like it's kind of like it's the illusion of choice, which I suppose is what Lana Wachowski is probably saying, like the world. You might think you have a choice in the way your life goes. You don't really. It's already laid out for you. It's It's
but then there's a whole bit where they go into the real world and have a fight with Agent Smith and some
new Agent Smith,
but some random other
They're
mental
not random,
looking
though,
people. Well, there's the Merovingian? Yeah,
you know, the French guy.
He's there.
Oh, right.
The
French guy
second
who had
and third one.
Persephone. So he's back, but as like a hobo. And then I think
were they not random? I
think they are all people that Neo has fought in the past. They're all programs that Neo's fought in the past for a purpose. So there's I think there's some guy like the twins weren't there, which I thought was very strange.
Yeah, that was.
But
weird.
I think they had a falling out with the Wachowskis anyway. I seem to
remember.
Right. Okay. I may be remembering completely wrong, but I think there was a couple of guys there that I recognised from, when they had the fight in the Merovingian's palace on the stairwell.
Yeah.
I think there was a couple of guys from there. So I think all of those people are from Merovingian, like from that fight in the lobby, like the lobby. I think they're all from there. So, but the Merovingian's character, I was expecting a post-credit scene with him because he sort of runs off and says, "You're not going to get away with this" or something, and you never see him again.
Right.
So I was.
What was the post-screen edit?
There wasn't.
Wasn't there?
I don't think I didn't see one.
Oh, I heard there was meant to be one, but I didn't stick around for it.
Unless it was at the very. So I was expecting it, and then the normal rolling credits happened, so I didn't stick around. So I'll have to look online for it. I didn't see it. Maybe there was one then. Tom's looking it up.
Yeah. So that scene. Oh yeah, because it was quite a good fight, I guess. Yeah. I mean, really cool. A lot of the film looks pretty. Like it looks, very swish. And there's a few things that like in Jurassic Park, like it's such a good film, and then you go to like 2 and 3, and you're just like, oh, like it's bad. But there's still like some redeeming bits, like in the second one where, they're over the cliff. Like that's quite a cool scene. With the T-Rexes attacking, and then in the third one where the raptors are going. No, that's the second one where the raptors go through the grass and like are chasing people, and you just see like they're sort of pushing the grass down. It's like with this. There's some redeeming bits in each one, even if you're not that into it. Like there's in the Reloaded, the whole car
the highway scene
is just highway scene is just insane. Like that. And the fact that they built a 7-mile stretch of highway just for that. And, I don't remember the third one, but the fourth one, I really enjoyed the coffee shop bit at the end where they're like like walking through and there's just police and things like that. I know we're going to get to that, but there's
that was
redeeming
really
bits
cool.
in it.
That was a really cool bit.
And things just look so crisp and sharp, and you know, like I couldn't really fault any of the CGI or anything like that.
No, there
they
wasn't.
clearly spent the cash.
There were some moments where the movements were unnatural in the CGI, but then I think that kind of, because of like the Burly Brawl and stuff like that's kind of expected in the Matrix. Now you need those weird sort of jerky, unnatural movements, because that's that's that universe, isn't it? One good thing I do like actually is within the Matrix itself now, it's not all tinted green.
Right.
That's quite nice.
All right.
Well, the first one was blue, wasn't it?
Was it blue?
The first one was tinted blue, and then 2 and 3 went green.
Oh,
so
okay. That's weird. I didn't realise that.
Well, I guess then, because the original posters were all in blue as well. It was bizarre, but
yeah. The original case, it was blue, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's a good point. I forgot. But yeah, I mean, it's one of those. If it's really difficult to say, like I like that world. I like the world of the Matrix. So, like I say, I did enjoy this film. I'm not giving it a high rating. It's like, for me, it's like a 6, maybe.
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
If you're
going
to rate it out of 10, like a 6, maybe 6.5. It's really enjoyable. It's too meta, like completely too reference. But that's the whole point of it, I think.
Sure.
Like that. Yeah. That's what it's supposed to be, because that's just how it's written. But for me, I don't like how it's just so on the nose with a lot of stuff.
So what did you give the first one?
The first one is my favorite film. I don't know if I can rate it. Like, it's sort of like
whatever.
Sorry,
your favorite film ever?
Yeah.
Oh, really?
I love it. Yeah, I absolutely love it.
Yeah,
like it's great. I will go back to it all the time. But yeah.
Well, like, we're the same generation, you know. Like, it sort of came out when we were like 15, 16 or something, and it probably shaped how we dressed at the time.
I never wore the leather coat, long leather coat.
Didn't you? I swear you did at college.
I was not a Neo, mate. I was not a Neo. That was Hoffman.
Hoffman. Good lad.
that was Pete, who dressed like Neo without wanting to, I think. That was just his style. But I didn't know about the Matrix at all. One of my friends one day, do you want to come see a film that's similar to The Matrix? I've seen it. It's really weird. It's cool though. You'll like it. I don't know. Fuck it. I'll go to cinema. I don't know what this film is. I went to see it and just like that first scene where Trinity did the crane kick. I was just like, what the fuck is going on? Like, it just completely blew my mind. And I think because of the impact, like, I know it's not a perfect film. Like I've said, if people come up to me and say, I don't like The Matrix, I'm like, yeah, fair enough. But do you know what I mean? I know totally, it's not. I know it's not a perfect film. I know it's not a great piece of narrative, but the impact it had on me when I saw it is just it's amazing. I absolutely love it.
And how it shapes so many other films. Yeah, going from there, you know. But
the technology and stuff like that. The fact that even the second and third one, which are like as far from perfect as you can probably get for a Matrix film. Like, some of the technology and stuff they come up with that like kind of changed the film industry, changed how films were made.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
So you can't deny the impact those films, even though they're not great, have had on the whole film industry. But yeah, I mean, like I say, this is probably like this one I rate as a 6. I gave a 6, and I say it's my second favorite Matrix film. So like that kind of tells you where the others are in my ranking. But
yeah, I mean, we haven't quite finished with the film yet, have we? Because
no, but I don't know where we can take it. It's just so.
Well, I mean, I just want to talk about the scene where they jump off the building.
I don't
at the
like
end.
that scene at all.
You don't like that? I thought that was really good.
Impactful, but I think it can be so triggering for people. It's quite disturbing.
I was just going to talk about the fact that they did it.
Oh, you're talking about when Neo and Trinity jump off the building. I was talking about in that fight.
Oh,
where the agents jump off the building.
No, yeah. Well, that's no. Well, yeah. So agents. What I think they've done. No, they're just regular people, and they've put it in swarm mode because there's something called swarm mode where everyone attacks whoever they want.
Yeah.
But
we haven't even talked about the fact that new Agent Smith teams up with Neo for a brief period.
Oh yeah, to fight
the
analyst. Yeah, but yeah, no, the fact that Carrie-Anne Moss and Keanu Reeves both did that stunt.
Oh, okay.
Where they finally jumped. Yeah, they had to jump off 19 times to get it right.
Wow.
And that's like a 40-story building. And they both did it.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
I didn't realize they actually did it.
Yeah. Everyone thought it was stuntmen because I don't know if you remember before the pandemic they were filming and these videos came out of people jumping off of a building like with hand in hand but yeah, it actually turned out it was Neo and Carrie-Anne and Keanu Reeves who did it.
That's impressive.
And they did it 19 times. And
wow.
It's just one of them where you can sort of appreciate the stunt work involved in it and things like that. Especially if they're doing it themselves. Like
in the same vein as no matter what you think of Tom Cruise, that man puts his life on the line for all of his films.
He's a monster, isn't he? Absolute monster.
But the
59.
Ridiculous.
59.
The same with Keanu Reeves as well, isn't he? He's 59 as well.
The fact that for a lot of the stunt work, and I think it's probably a holdover from like the originals, is there's a lot less CGI involved. Like they could have quite easily CGI'd people jumping off of a building.
That's one of the questions I was going to ask actually, was like, what are some of the kind of, is there a reliance? Because the second or third one was so reliant on CGI that it did look like a computer game.
Yeah.
Whereas obviously the technology's caught up a lot more now. But the best films usually kind of try and do everything physical because then that doesn't really age.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think there weren't any, other than, like I say, with some of the fights, the jerky movements. The ones I'm thinking is like, where they sort of like jump and it's sort of slow and then they go quick. Like it's this weird sort of timing, like ramping in their timing. Like you get some of that, but like I say, I think that's just part of the look of these films now. I can't think of anything that really stood out as like, oh my God, that's terrible CGI. Like I think it's pretty solid CGI. Like I can't think of it. Even so, the scene I'm talking about, there's a scene in the cafe where Thomas Anderson and Tiffany keep meeting up. Was it Tiffany?
Oh yeah.
Was it Tiffany Trinity? They call her Tiffany in it. That's the name that the analyst has given her. So there's a scene where they kind of have to she makes this choice whether she wants to go with Neo or she wants to go back to her family. And like, it's a really, really cool scene. So I think when Neo turns up at that cafe, it's just full of soldiers. And then the analyst is sat at a table. So he kind of has to push his way through all the soldiers, doesn't he? To go and talk to the analyst.
But does Bugs take over Trinity's body or something?
There is a point, yeah. So that's part of the plan of how they're going to free Trinity, isn't it?
Right, okay.
But at the point, so basically, Thomas Anderson goes to that cafe, just basically talking to the analyst. Like the analyst knew he was going to go there to find Tiffany. I'm calling her Tiffany because at this point she's still Tiffany. She's not quite Trinity yet. So yeah, Neo in that case goes to the cafe, speaks to the analyst and says, I want to talk to her. Like, if she makes the choice, you're going to let us go. If not, my crew are going to unplug me before I get the shot. Because I think he needs to be there for the integrity of this universe to survive or something. I can't quite remember, of course. So yeah, when she turns up and they're having a conversation. Then her husband turns up with two boys. It's like, the daughter, she's been in a really bad accident. You need to come now. So she's like, sorry, I need to go. And as she's on her way out, she sort of turns and looks at Neo, sort of like has that moment where it's like, oh, hang on a minute. Because while all this is happening, there's like Bugs and this other woman. I don't know who the fuck she is. She's the woman at the well. I don't know who she is.
The well?
They're sort of doing this operation, aren't they? Where they're sort of unplugging her from the pod.
Wow.
Plugging her into their system. They're sort of doing like
Was
a
it
bypass,
Lexi?
Possibly. No, Lexi's the one with the braids, isn't she?
Don't know.
Mate, sorry.
Wow.
You probably could watch the film in the time we've spent.
There's this whole convoluted thing where they're doing like a bypass to move Trinity, so they're ready to move her as soon as they free her. Because once they free her, all the fucking squids are going to come and attack or some shit. Yeah. They're trying to do this bypass so they can move her without the system knowing she's been moved. But that's why this whole cafe conversation's happening. And I think she sort of senses that, which is why she stops to turn to look at Neo. And then her husband keeps calling her, like, Tiff, come on, Tiff, you need to go. And she turns around and is like, stop calling that, my name's Trinity. Stop calling me that, my name's Trinity. And then
a bit like where Neo fights in the underground in the first one, where he's like, no, like, Mr. Anderson, that's the sound of inevitability.
Yeah.
But then he's like, no, my name is Neo.
Yeah.
And it's just a similar sort of callback to that.
I get you.
So then this whole fight happens. Then they essentially they beat the analyst, don't they? Because Smith comes in. Because Smith is free of the program. He's like free of all his tethers. Like, he is an independent AI now within, and he wants this world, and he can keep this world as long as Neo's not in it. So he basically wants to get Neo and Trinity out so he can have control of this world.
Okay.
Essentially, that's kind of what happens. So then he teams up with them kind of to defeat the analyst, which they do, because the analyst controls it at the minute.
But then he turns everyone on them, doesn't he?
Yeah, he turns on Neo, then activates this swarm mode, which basically turns everyone in the world into, not agents, what are they called? I want to call them replicants.
It just reminded me of, have you seen The Happening?
Yeah.
The M. Night Shyamalan. Yeah, you know, where people were being killed by trees and they're trying to do anything to commit suicide.
Yeah.
But it was sort of a cross between that and a zombie film.
Yeah. Like World War Z or something.
Yeah. So like they were just jumping out of window, like there's someone in bed, and obviously it's in the main part of, is it Sydney? I think it's filmed. But yeah, so like they're in these high rises, and this person just gets up. The person next to him is like, "What?" And then like he just jumps out the window as if like he's going to use his body as like a missile to try and
right.
They turn people into missiles basically, because there's like a bike and car chase going on, and these people, like, there's a scene,
not propelled missiles,
right?
Falling missiles,
they're just like jumping out of like these buildings and landing on cars and shit.
Yeah.
And that's the bit I didn't really feel comfortable with that bit. Like, it was quite a disturbing scene.
Yeah.
Really. Like I was watching that thinking, no, mate, that like someone's gonna watch that and gonna be like triggered.
Yeah, you sort of get like the swarm feeling from I don't know if you played Days Gone at all, where they like just, you know, you come across these random swarms around the map and you just have to, well, kill them all. Run, basically.
Yeah, I mean, like the swarm, like the people swarming and shit. Like, I kind of, but it's the jumping out of buildings. Just like, I don't know why it just really,
and how it was done at such a pointless endeavor, you know,
and
because
really
they all missed.
It's like these, like this bit would have been quite clearly CG, but it doesn't feel like it. Like, these bodies have weight and they look like real bodies. Just like, it's so weird. It's such a weird thing. But there is a really clever bit though, like as they hit the ground, rather than like just like bones and blood splattering, it's like Matrix code. Like, it's just kind of it's kind of cool in a way.
Which I suppose is the get out clause, really. They're not real people. Yeah.
Which is how they kept it as a 15 and didn't push it to an 18 or something like that. There's a really cool thing when they get taken over by the program to be used as not agents, but like, their eyes kind of go black and Matrix code just down their eyes, which is kind of cool. Like, it's a good way of showing that they've turned. But yeah, that whole scene was really cool. That, yes, it was disturbing as well, but generally it was kind of cool. And then they end up going into, like, this is what sort of where it ends, isn't it? This whole fight thing. Once she's freed. Yeah. I mean, they hold hands, this big blow of light, like explosion of light and shit. But there's this whole bit like Neo's using his power where he doesn't actually have to punch people now. He can just push them away with like air.
Yeah. So he only fires guns in the first film, doesn't he? He never fires a gun after that. He just uses the force push or whatever it is.
Whatever it is.
Because once he learns to stop bullets. Like
he doesn't need to.
Obviously, well, he still has the hand-to-hand combat, doesn't he?
Yeah.
But yeah, like generally, that's one of my main problems with the films. But yeah,
there was a funny bit as they come out of the cafe and the swarm's coming. The guy looks at him and goes, "I don't suppose you can still fly." And then he does this whole move
he
tries to fly, so he puts his hand up and pushes down to the ground, jumps and goes, "Nope." I mean, that bit was quite funny. Like it's just sort of making fun of itself, I think, because there was that whole thing like, Neo can fly. What the fuck? Like at the end of the first one, it's like, what was that? Like, is Superman now? Like that was a bit weird. But yeah, I mean, him and Trinity end up sort of escaping the swarm, don't they? And going to this building and clearly, obviously, end up on the roof because they have to. And that's this roof that they were doing that stunt from. I don't like that bit. I don't like the outcome of them jumping off of that roof. It
basically ends up that Trinity can now fly and Neo can't, and she's the one who holds him up.
Okay.
There's a bit where they're sort of suspended in midair, like she's just kind of like there, not falling, and he's hanging from her, and it looks really weird. It looks like a person who's hanging from a crane.
So to play devil's advocate here, is this conforming to the fact that women are just as powerful as men, and if not more so? If I'm coming at it from a white ring gammon point of view, am I going to hate this film if I'm not?
Oh, you've got redder and redder.
Is it just a tick box exercise?
Yeah. He crumbles. Because my stepbrother texted me a few days ago and was like, "Have you seen it yet?" And I said no, but I don't have great expectations for it. And he was like, "Yeah, probably best because there's a bit in it that reminded me of the Carrie Fisher Princess Leia flying thing." And I was like, "Is this what he might have meant by that?"
Yeah, this would be what he meant.
He was like, "It took me out of the movie entirely." It was.
That's what I mean. It seems so weird.
Oh,
everything was quite fluid.
You know what I mean? From was it not the last?
Where she's like,
no, it was the last.
She's dead, but she flies back in.
That's right. Yeah.
Right.
And I think this is what I mean. Like, it kind of took me out of it, where they sort of jump, and then she just kind of stops. And she's hanging there. There's no fluidity to it. It doesn't look really cool and slick. It's just like people hanging from a crane. That's what it looks like. It's really weird.
Yeah.
Like there's no like superhero body position or something. She's just hanging there.
But the whole point of
dead weight, and it's really weird. That bit is just odd.
The whole point of them being able to fly in the first place is basically because he's mastered the code, though, right?
Yeah.
And that's
he's
that's
not
what
bound
that
by
physics.
He's not bound by rules.
Yeah, the rules. How because Morpheus, he's like in the first one, he says, it's a program, but that's governed by rules, but you're not, basically. And that's how he can fly at the end. But,
yeah.
It's really, really odd, that bit. I'm not there for that. I mean, like, so go back to the whole tick box exercise thing. It's you could look at it as in, okay, yeah, now the man needs the woman's help or something like that, or you could look at it as like sort of like from the theme of the thing, the binary, like you can't have one without the other, sort of. You know what I mean? Like there's that balance. Like if one of them together, they're powerful. I don't know. You can make it fit, like
because then
round hole if you want.
In the next scene, they fly to the analyst's house, blow the side off the building, and just tell him basically like we're running this now. We're going to start a new world.
Yeah, this is
a bit like what Neo said on the phone at the end of the first one. And then a really, really awful version of Wake Up plays.
Oh, really?
Is it awful? It's fine.
In comparison to the actual version of Wake Up, yeah.
It's Brass Against.
Oh, really? Oh.
Yeah. So the woman who pissed on the...
Yeah.
Sorry, what?
Yeah, this woman...
don't tell me you have not seen this.
At the end part of last year, Brassed Against were filmed at a show I think it was October time,
Right.
and she gets a bloke up. We talked about it on one of the episodes, I think. She got a bloke.
I
up
haven't
out
listened
of
to the last one. I must be
No,
honest,
it's cool.
because I'm a bad friend. So yeah.
No, you're not. I don't blame you.
Mate, I missed the
but
before. It's fine.
She gets some guy up out of the lead singer gets a guy up out of the crowd and pissed all over him.
Oh.
So essentially, she said at some point in the show that she really needed a piss. She needed to go to the toilet, and then it was going on and on, like they were carried on playing. She didn't go off, and then at some point during the show, she just said, "Look, I can't hold it anymore."
During Wake Up as well.
Yeah. She was like, "I really need a piss. Who wants me to piss on them?" And some guy was like, "Yeah, go on then." So he laid down on
and
stage.
she unloaded like 2 full bladders into this guy.
Mate, lovely.
It was ridiculous.
Well, I kind of feel like
if you want to see it,
if he's into it, he's probably saved a bit of cash.
But,
so.
yeah. I mean, people do pay
Normally has
good
to
money
pay a
for
lot more for that. So.
It's a bit grim, isn't it? It's a bit grim.
Yeah, it's awful to be honest, but it's sterile, and I like the taste. So
I'm here for it. Yeah, I mean that scene where they go to the analyst at the end is kind of like it's quite funny. Where so basically Trinity has become the one at this point. Like she can do exactly what Neo can do. So the one is now the two. That actually reminds me that the game company is called Deus Machina, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like in the film, so like 2. So it makes sense that at the end there's 2 of them. Weird.
Well, so Deus Ex Machina is like something that happens in the nick of time. Like it's something that people generally write into stuff to be like, oh, and that they were saved because of such and such.
Oh, okay.
That's what Deus Ex Machina.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. It's sort of like a story where they go, oh, well, here's an angel, and the angel saved the day, basically.
Okay. Deus is the Latin word for God or deity. I thought it meant 2. I thought it was like a duo word. Oh, okay.
Well, I guess Jews is.
Yeah.
But when it's in with Machina,
okay.
so it's like God in the machine, basically.
Yeah.
Right. And so that's why his company is called Deus Machina, because he's the one. Okay, right.
Hey, there we go. Yeah.
Right, that makes sense now. So anyway, so Trinity
totally. God is in the
yeah.
Totally.
It's exactly what it is. There we go. We worked it out. We figured out the matrix. So it's when they end up there. So like he keeps talking, the analyst, and then Trinity ends up kicking off his lower jaw, doesn't she?
Oh yeah.
But then instead of all the blood and gore, it's like Matrix code and stuff like that.
Code.
And he's like, because he's trying to talk. And it's really funny. Like it made me laugh. But then she clicks her fingers and his jaw's back. Like she's rewriting the code as
she's in control.
And then she does something else to him and then clicks again and he's back. I think she kills him, doesn't she? She shoots him or something. I can't remember what she does. There's a bit where he's laying on the floor like dead and she clicks her fingers and he gets back up again. I can't remember.
So I don't know about that because I think people realised it was the end, and that's where it all sort of kicked off. And like the woman who'd been jumping over the sofas was like getting into a couple of arguments with people, and so I've completely missed like the final bit. And there was a whole like to do outside the cinema as well.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it was just
was that
quite
more entertaining than the film for you?
No, not really. Not one for confrontation,
okay.
It's kind of like
seeing what level the film is at. Is that was that more interesting than what you saw on the screen? That sort of gives you a feel.
No, like I say, like there were some redeeming features in the film. Like I'm not like, oh, I wish I never saw it because it's not ruined the other
one.
Not ruined 2 and 3 for me, because it's just like, oh, just ticks a box really, like. I've seen all 5 Pirates of the Caribbean films, but I probably like 2 of them. So
it's one of those
I love the cinema and I love the experience of the cinema.
It's definitely a good cinema experience, like for sure. Like the spectacle. It's a loud film. I don't know how loud the system was where you went, but it was really loud for me. Where we were. which you would expect from a Matrix film. It's all about guns and explosions. There's a lot of moments where they do things in it that happened in the first. Like there's a lot of callbacks. So Agent Smith pinning Neo up against the wall and doing that punch. Swinging his fist. That's in it again. Because it's Agent Smith. That's how he fights. That's his fighting style. Like there's a lot of callback. There's no stupid swinging a pole around in a park, like sort of like thing. A lot of the fight choreography is good because they've got people who can actually fight like before they were in it. So the guy who plays Morpheus, I think he's like a stuntman martial arts person. The girl who plays Bugs was in Iron Fist. She's the girl who has her dojo.
Oh, right. Okay. Yeah.
She's English, apparently. But yeah, she's in it. She can actually fight. So a lot of the fight choreography is great if you're into like the martial arts and stuff, martial arts films and stuff. It's really good. Like Loz says, the cinematography is fantastic. The special effects are great. The story, there's a lot wrong with it. But like for me, I like The Matrix, so I enjoyed it. But yeah, it's a 6, possibly 6.5, 7. I'm not upset I'm not upset they made it because for me it does add to the story. But if you don't see it, it doesn't matter. Like you're not missing much. In all honesty,
there's not like any new tech where you're like, oh,
it's right. It's
right. It's all right. Yeah. It's. I left the cinema and I text my friend. No one can tell you how bad Matrix Resurrection is. You have to see it for yourself.
Yeah.
You text me that. I think you texted me that.
Oh yeah. Well, it went down so well with other people. That just carried on.
Yeah.
He sent the same text to everyone.
It was.
I'm not saying. Well, yeah. Like I say, like it was all right.
It's not a bad film. Like I don't think. I think, like Loz said, I mean, you've got the unlimited card in. Unlimited, is it?
Yeah.
World Unlimited. You've got the unlimited card. You're going to go sit for 2 hours, watch an action film. I don't think you're going to be upset that you spent 2 hours watching it.
Yeah, I'm not sure there's much else out at the moment anyway. So
exactly.
I mean, I don't think you're going to be upset that you went to the cinema to see it and spent 2 hours watching it. It's. I don't think we've done a fantastic job of explaining it, but I think it's very difficult to explain it.
It's a Matrix
kind of feel like that you will be upset that you saw it. So.
Oh really? Okay.
Well, I just I don't know. I was going to see it with my dad, and I was like, "Dad, it's not that good." And he was like, "Really?" I was like, "Yeah." And like, so we've seen like all the Predators at the cinema. And like gradually they've got worse and worse and worse. And the last one, at the end, we were like, hey, he was like, what do you think of that? I was like, it was terrible, wasn't it? And he was like, yeah, I'm glad you said that. So yeah, it was just like, well, and we've seen all the Terminators and
you keep going back. You keep going back expecting something that's going to rival the first one or two of these franchises, and they never ever stand up.
I think at some point with films like that are like franchises, you kind of have to do what Tom did with DC and just boycott them.
Oh right, yeah.
Shame, fool me once, shame on me.
Well, I don't know, like same with like Marvel though. Apparently Eternals isn't that great, but like the other stuff I'm pretty much into. Like
to be fair,
like the biggest fan. I don't know the stories like you guys do, but like I'll go and watch them.
Yeah, like and Eternals is like it's probably the only one that I've been to see that I'm like I don't know whether I'd ever watch that again. But it's literally the first one, the first thing they've ever done that has been like that, and that to me is astounding. In like however many years it's been, like 15
would you watch Iron Man 3 again then?
That's a good point. But
it's a Christmas film, isn't it?
But I was at least entertained by it, and I wasn't confused as to who was who and what. Was going. There were too many characters in it. It needed to be a TV show, and if it had been a TV show told over 8 hours as opposed to 2,
Yeah.
it would have worked because you'd have had lots more time with those characters to kind of figure out who the hell they were.
Yeah.
It was just too many. But yeah, it's an interesting thing that like most franchises drop the ball and never recover.
Yeah. I don't think I've
Um,
really watched any DCs other than, you know, your Nolans. Like
We watched The Suicide
Wonder
Squad
Woman?
the other day.
The new one.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. That was yeah. No, I haven't seen it.
No, it was fine.
It was fun.
yes. I mean, since I've watched Wonder Woman and I thought that was really good.
It's great.
And you know, it's kind of led me to think that maybe I should rethink my entire boycott of DC. But
Wonder Woman's great. Wonder Woman 84 is okay.
Yeah, I know, that's what I've heard too. So you know,
I'm definitely going to watch the Batman though. Definitely going to watch the Batman. Like 100%.
Separate to this year.
But the Batman is always been my
Batman
DC guy.
To I think it's separate to the DCU.
It is. But I also think that like Batman films in general are they're the one things that I will go and see because he's the one DC character that I just really like.
Yeah.
So, and it does look really good.
Yeah. Especially when like the trailers when you're watching it in the cinemas.
It's
twice
crazy.
I've seen it in like 2 or 3 weeks now. It's insane.
Yeah.
I mean, what more can we say about The Matrix other than we're now talking about other films?
Yeah, this is what I wondered. But I will go and see it this week. Well, once I can put a shoe on my foot, and be able to get
when
out.
you've got nothing else, like if you've got like work that has got a deadline that you want to go, don't put off work to go and watch it.
Yeah,
like if you've got some downtime, go and watch it.
Yeah. Fair play. But what I'll do, I'll go and see it, and then I will, you know, I'll probably tack a little ending onto this episode of my own brief thoughts. It might just be a sigh.
You can pre-record if you want, mate.
Maybe that
I'll be
Tom's
quiet.
just going to be like, they really didn't do a good job of explaining this film.
I thought it was a masterpiece.
Yeah.
Like, here's my 2-hour thesis.
Unless you've seen it, like if you've seen it and you're listening to this, you'll listen and you go, oh yeah, I know what they're talking about. Yeah, they've got it perfect. If you haven't seen it and you're listening to us, you ain't got a chance. I'm going to be honest. It will make sense if you've seen it.
Well,
I mean, going back though, sorry, at the IMAX,
yes,
watching the first one,
I'd
say the only bit that didn't stand up was where the Sentinels land on the Nebuchadnezzar, right near the end. That was the only scene that was like, that's a bit ropey.
Is that because of the CG, the quality of the CG?
It was, yeah. But it's like 20-year-old CG. But you know,
that's not bad.
Like, other than that, I was still like, wow. And I said to my friend as we left, like, imagine if that was the first time you ever saw that film. Like, you'd just be like, what? Crazy. But 99 was such a good year for films. So
whenever I rewatch the film, like, because I say I could watch it all the time. I don't. Like, I watch it once every year, once every couple of years. But I'm never like, oh, that looks a bit shit. Oh, that doesn't look great. It always, like, the quality, it just holds up. The storytelling. I mean, the only thing that probably doesn't hold up is like the mobile phones, just because you know.
Well, it's a bit like saying that about Home Alone, isn't it? Like, you know, like
technology.
But I mean, I'd say the only reason I ever noticed it, because I've got it on Blu-ray, I've got it on 4K, like the Matrix. The only time I ever noticed it was on a 24 meter by 20 meter screen at the IMAX. You know, so like, how bad is that? You know, my TV's 55. Like,
it was one of the last films to be shot on film, wasn't it? Because I think
The
Reloaded,
Matrix.
I think Reloaded and Revolutions were digital, so I don't think they scale up as well.
No,
but I think the original Matrix was shot on film.
Yeah, there's certain films which they just can't put onto 4K because it just doesn't scale up. So I don't know if that's two of them.
Shot like early 2000s, I think, because it's when they like standard def or 1080p cameras, like digital cameras, you can't scale them up.
Yeah.
I think, yeah.
So, but I wouldn't say it was the last film to be filmed on film, because I've got...
there are still films being filmed on.
Yeah, I've got proper waffy films that,
Oh, God.
like Bait. Don't know if you've seen that. That was shot on a 16mm maybe 3 years ago. So, yeah, I mean, wasn't that keen on this film, to be honest, but there was a massive bad experience in the cinema anyway, so not like Spider-Man, where it was just you didn't mind people because they were losing their minds.
Well, added to the atmosphere, didn't it? I mean, like you said, you had it like 6 or 7 times. It definitely happened at least 4 times, the cheering and clapping and stuff. And like you said, I don't think I've ever been in a UK cinema where that's happened. I've been in cinemas in the US, and they're a lot more vocal just at any kind of film, but
Endgame was probably one.
Endgame as well, with Captain America picking up the hammer.
Yeah,
hammer,
and when the portals open,
and the portals,
yeah.
But it seems like
that's the same sort of time, isn't it? Yeah, but was it
just when Daredevil turned up and the whole screen just went it's like, oh wow, like did not expect this. I mean, like something came out like a couple of days before, like he's going to be part of it. Didn't actually expect it in the film coming out 3 days later. Like
I know.
It's just, and then obviously all the Spider-Man bits, but I just the bit where he's like the Spidey senses going off, that was just incredible. And you just got to love William Dafoe because he can be evil. Just the way he's like, what a talent. Well, this is the thing, wasn't it? What we were saying in the Spider-Man thing, it was like, they put him behind that helmet in the Raimi Spider-Mans, and you're like, well, why would you do that to a guy who's got that face? And what they did in this was made him destroy the helmet almost straight away. Totally. It was such a different experience. Same cinema, just completely different audience. Like so it was a really good watching experience. Same as Ghostbusters Afterlife when I saw that. It was opening night again, as always. Like people dressed up as Ghostbusters, had their packs. Like people took, like kids were there, like taking along their XO1s. And it was just like everyone stuck around. Everyone was people did clap, but I'm not a clapper, so I'm too English for it.
Well, if the cast or the director are there, then yes, you applaud them. If they're not there for the applause, what's the point? Well done, projectionist, who doesn't.
It is a strange thing.
It's press that button.
It's all automated now. But well done. Fucking fantastic popcorn, brilliant.
That's why I like going to the BFI IMAX, because a lot of the films there are still film. They're like 70mm. But the thing about the IMAX at the BFI is it's £25 a ticket. So if you're going there, you're not going there to sit on your phone. You're going there to actually be in the moment. So,
there for an experience.
I saw Dune there, and I managed to get like first showing not front and center, like center of the cinema in the middle. And this guy came up to me and was like, I'll give you £100 to sit there. I said, no, you're right, mate. And everyone was like, well, you didn't take the £100. I was like, no, I've waited like 1.5 years for this film to come out because of COVID. Like, I'm not moving.
You're like, no, I purchased this seat before you and I want it just as much as you. So why would I sell it to
exactly you? That. I'm not, and like, Sam didn't even ask. I had friends who were like, did you sell it? I was like, no. And then Sam was like, so you didn't get £100, did you? Like, no, I didn't. She's like, yeah, of course so. Like, she just knows me. Like,
because you love film.
It's like, But that's the thing. Like, I worked it out. It costs about £75 each time I go up there. Like with train fare and like getting across London and your food and drink and stuff. So really, like, I'm going for the experience. And funnily enough, there was a guy next to me who he was on his own as well. And we ended up chatting. We swapped numbers, and now, he texted me about the Matrix being there.
Oh, right.
So like, we went and saw it again together. So like, I don't even know where he lives. It's somewhere up north, but he comes down.
Your IMAX friend.
Yeah, little IMAX friend.
That's the thing, though, isn't it? Like that's what I love about cinema and people who are into cinema anyway. It's like it is a proper community, and it's something that we've learned over the years of doing these podcasts. Like the people who are into film are into film.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean, like I could show you the thousands of films I've got here.
How many copies of Blade Runner are you at now?
About 28, I guess.
Yeah.
So there's a few.
Yeah, because I remember.
But yeah, I mean,
like you've got all these copies of Blade Runner. That's your favorite film, isn't it? Or is it just
no.
one you've got most of?
Yeah, it's one I got most of. I'd say my favorite film is Once Upon a Time in the West, which is like a Sergio Leone film. But the score in that is just out of this world. You know, it was an Ennio Morricone. So. But that's a story for another time. But I've probably got that about, I don't know, 5 or 6 times. You know.
Wow.
But that's the issue, you know. They keep releasing.
It's what I was saying to Ant the other day.
Higher definition.
I keep buying the Marvel films on DVD just because they've got the special features, and then they bring out more ones with like extra stuff, and you're like, well, I've got to buy that one now as well. If they just put it all on the first disc, you wouldn't have to keep buying these ones.
But so many films, you know, require watching of the extras. Like there's a new Joaquin Phoenix film called Come On, Come On. And the local cinema was playing that. So I went to see it. And it's a story about a guy who goes across country just filming different, obviously Joaquin Phoenix, filming kids' reactions to questions about how they feel about life and things like that.
All right.
But I'd love to see, and part of it is he's with his nephew because there's some sort of family trouble going on. But the interesting bit to me was about how he was going around talking to these different kids. And I'd just love to know, were those kids prompted or were they actually real kids who are being asked these questions? Things like that, you know? Like, I'd just love to see the extras on that one. So. But yeah, like you say, DVDs are all or Blu-rays, 4K, whatever. You just want to know, well, if you're into film, you're into film, aren't you? Like you say, you just want to know how it's made, how it's done. Like,
and so, maybe the Matrix Resurrections, there'll be some feature on there that will make sense of all of it.
Like Matrix 5 or something.
Well, I did read it. He said there's not going to be a number 5. He doesn't think there's going to be a number 5. But
he won't.
I think we were just.
I don't think anyone
just bad at explaining, weren't we?
I mean, the thing is, like, I understood the film.
Yeah,
it's just
we're just bad at explaining.
Really difficult to explain.
Like,
because there's so many intricacies. There's so many bits. There are bits that didn't make sense, but generally, it all fits together. It kind of made sense.
Well, like with Tenet, a lot of people were like, "Oh, I don't understand it," but I don't know. You can watch it and be like, "Oh, I totally get this," and then people are like, "Well, explain it to me," and my mind just goes.
It's difficult.
I can't.
But I totally get it when I'm
watching
it. Yeah. And then people are like, "Well, why did that happen?" And you're like, "Oh, because of this." And they're like, "Well, why did that happen?" Like, oh, God.
Just watch the film.
Just appreciate it, you know. Like, but I guess if COVID has told us anything, that the world is full of stupid people. So, like, you can't expect everyone to understand everything.
No.
True. Well, like I say, I am going to go and watch it.
Yes.
So that I can form an opinion of my own. And I'll let you guys know how I found it.
Yeah, definitely.
I just find it funny how me and Loz gave it the same rating, but we both had different views on it.
Yeah. Well, that's
and I don't think it was a waste of time. Loz is like, it was probably a waste of time, but I still give it a 6.
Yeah.
Well, it's
weird, isn't it? But
the thing is, I feel bad because I was so invested in the first one, and then I think I saw the second one like 4 times, maybe, and then the third one I was like, "Oh, I will watch it," and then
I've seen it once.
Just fell off the wagon with it. Like, you know, I had Path and Neo, I had the comics. I definitely watched the Animatrix far too much because was it 10 stories? They were just so interesting.
Yeah.
And then like.
Incredible.
I feel bad because I love Keanu and like I think Carrie-Anne Moss was great in Jessica Jones and things like that. And you know, you're just like, oh, I feel bad for the actors who make bad films. Like, not that they're bad. You know, we've said it's all right, but a 6 to me isn't a high score, you know. Like,
no.
But then I hate it when people are like, "Oh, that's a 1." It's like it's not a 1.
It's
is
not.
it?
No,
like,
no.
Nothing's a 1. I don't.
You know, no. Well, you haven't seen Son of the Mask, have you? So.
Oh no,
That,
I haven't.
So, but yeah, I mean, like, generally nothing is a 1, right?
Yeah,
and generally nothing's a 10. So.
No. That's it. Like when you ask my rating for the Matrix, I'm not giving it a rating because I don't rate things 10, and I know it's not a 10.
Right.
But
Okay.
But
if it's a 10 to you, that's
but I know it's not a 10, so I can't give it a 10. So yeah. Anyway.
Yeah, I mean, like, there's a bit in Once Upon a Time in the West where they overdubbed one of the actors, and it's kind of like, oh, that takes away. And you're just like, it's one minor character, and you're just like, oh, I wish you hadn't done that.
Anyway, like, right.
But yeah, sorry, probably gone on too long.
I feel like Tom tried to end it twice, and then I kept it going.
Well, I was just trying to. But no, thanks for coming on, Loz. It's been good to have another. It's been good to have another opinion on here, because otherwise there would have been no episode today anyway. But yeah, and the fact that you've got like a breadth of film knowledge as well is always a good thing, because you can bring that to bear as well in the conversation.
Also, well done with covering for not doing ship time transit after I upped my.
Hey, look, we've actually
really
no, man.
Mate, I've got a text on my phone. I've got a text on my phone from yesterday.
He texted me last night and was like, "I've got an idea for the thing that I want to do, so we will be doing it very soon."
Nice.
We will.
Yeah, no worries.
It is on its way, mate. You know us.
No, yeah, totally. I mean, I only did it as a joke anyway, because I was at the pub with Tom, and I was like, I got home and I was just like, oh, you know what? It's like £2. Forget it. I'll do it. Like, just give him some grief.
I mean, and like we said, we'd already decided, fuck it, we're going to do it anyway.
But it came at a time where we completely like lost sync with each other's lives, and like we didn't talk to each other really for like 2 months.
Oh really? Wow.
Yeah. Like we didn't do a podcast together for ages.
No.
Like literally right after you and I were in the pub and you did that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Yeah, so, I noticed because you released loads of Spoilercasts, didn't you? Yeah.
Oh yeah. Tom went on a fucking tear, mate.
I went back to the cinema.
Yeah. Just like
you saw everything.
Yeah, you definitely did go back, didn't you? Like. Not sure you left. Oh yeah, it was good, man. No.
Thanks for having me. It is coming. Ship Time Transit is coming.
We're not giving you a time frame though.
Yeah.
No, it's fine. I mean, it was quite a puny goal you had anyway, wasn't it? Like it wasn't, to do a whole nother series of podcasts.
It was just enough to cover the hosting, in all honesty.
But then you got to factor in your time and things like that. So.
Yeah.
I think I got home and I upped it, and someone was like, "You bastard!"
Like we got the email through, and I was like, "Oh, I know exactly what that is."
It was proper late, wasn't it? It was like, I don't know, just gone midnight or something. I was like, "Yeah, forget it. I'll do it."
That's great.
Well, thank you for that.
Yes.
Yeah, no worries.
Thank you.
All right, guys. Well, have a very happy New Year.
Yes, and yourself.
And hopefully we can meet up at some point.
Yeah, for sure. We'll sort something out.
Now we're allowed.
Yeah.
Well,
I'm all
we'll see.
3 jabbed up now. So
me too.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, brilliant. All right, guys. Well, enjoy the rest of your day.
Yeah, you too, man. Take very good care. And thanks everyone for listening. Until next time, I've been Tom.
I've been Ant.
Oh yeah, I've been Laurie. All right.
Catch you later. Bye.
Catch you later. Bye.